What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Cantina Jargon. My name is Caden, or Cantina Talk. Joe, or Jedi Jargon as always. Welcome.
That's right.
Rossi already kicking it off with the 149 rows. Thank you. As well as the gifted membership to Eli Thomas. Thank you, Rossi.
Thank you, Rossi. A real OG.
Yes, sir. So, Joe, what did you think of episode 7? We did not get Jod's backstory.
We did not. We were. I don't know. Like, it was one of the interviews for sure that Jude Law said, like, episode 7, like, you learn a lot about Jod. We did not learn anything about him besides that he is definitely evil.
Yeah.
He's not being redeemed. I'm pretty convinced of that.
That was going to be my big question is, like, will Jod be redeemed? And
no.
My answer is going to be no.
No. Not after how far they've gone to show that he'll, like, do anything to get these credits. I don't think there's any way that he could be redeemed at this point.
No, not at all.
I really liked the episode. It was short, but like there's so much interesting stuff going on, and especially when they open up that vault, like that many Republic credits in one vault,
yeah,
1,100 of them.
Yeah, 1,139 other ones just like it. That's insane. You know how many credits that is?
I know.
That's like that is insane. I will say it feels like this episode was the beginning to the finale, and they just decided to cut this part and was like, all right, this is gonna be episode 7.
So
it feels like it should.
Mando.
Yeah. like it definitely feels like this it shouldn't have stopped right here. Like there's definitely something gonna happen right after.
Big cliffhanger. Okay, so a couple theories here, a couple questions and theories. Let's talk about the gold before we talk about Jod, because I have some theories about Jod, which might be interesting. But all the credits, clearly someone's going to end up with these, and it's probably going to be the Empire. But are we thinking it's Thrawn Empire or like First Order Empire?
As dumb as it sounds, I feel like it could go to the First Order. I'm really hoping it's Thrawn though, or even the New Republic finding it and them taking over like the shipments. If it continues, but I doubt it's going to continue because it's been fully exposed now.
If the New Republic takes over the shipments and still allows the First Order to like build this entire, I don't know.
That's kind of what I'm saying. It's just like,
yeah,
like what are they gonna like? How is it gonna go then? Like
my biggest concern is that they're just gonna use this show to once again try and like explain something that was ridiculous in the sequels.
I'm just hoping they stop if that is the case.
That's what my concern is. It's just like, okay, we couldn't explain how Palpatine had 1,000 like Star Destroyers with
Palpatine had the Katana fleet, like
right,
right,
and it's like, oh, we couldn't really explain how he was able to build something like that or fund something like that. So we're gonna give him this ridiculous treasure trove of credits.
I mean, they could have just done it as simple as that's where the Star Forge ended up being. Like they could have just done something as simple as that, as like for now, even, but they just didn't even do it.
True. I guess I just like that's my concern is that they're using everything in these shows to explain the sequels, but at least we know they're trying to do it with Mando already, right? Because they're already explaining like necromancer or whatever. And then now in this show, we see all these credits. If they use it to explain Exegol, I don't know. I'm not into that. But I hope Thrawn gets it, basically, is what I'm saying.
I will say there's nothing like as of right now throughout the entire show that's been leading towards that. I feel like they would have had to have been setting that up. Because otherwise it would make zero sense for now just to that's where that's gonna go. It would just make zero sense. Yeah. So I'm thinking that I think it very well could be Thrawn or
well, why else put it in the Mandoverse, right? If it's not Thrawn. Yeah. So
and why would you allude to that there being that many vaults? That's a lot of credits.
Yeah. It's a ridiculous number, honestly. So it'll be really interesting. That's the one thing I'm really excited to see for the finale is like, what is the fate of AT-AT? Like, what is, what's going to happen with all that credits? AT-AT hasn't been exposed at all as long as Jod never talks to his crew again. True. I mean, is that the ending you want? Like that, just no one ever finds out about it, and it's just we just back to where we started from
Well, I
the
mean,
very episode 1.
that's kind of how I feel like that would go. It would just become like that would become Jod's like new tale. That would be like the tale of Jod instead of Tak Renod. It would just be the same thing all over again because they're not
Right.
gonna try. They're not gonna be able to get through for one, and for two, they're gonna give up eventually, and it's just gonna be some lost long tail again, all over again.
It literally just we're back to square one where
Yeah.
everything started. So,
But
yeah,
I definitely get what you mean and where you're coming from with it though. Like I
if it's
see
possible,
I see how like they could just never like do anything with it. I sort of like I can totally see that too. But I don't know.
Thanks, Jaina Solo.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like I don't know. Like where do you think it's gonna go? Like realistically, where do you think who do you think's gonna get possession of it?
Thrawn or some big time pirate like Card or what's his nuts, Hondo.
I mean,
That's what I think is gonna
sorry.
happen.
Yeah.
Like like Jod might be working for someone. We don't really know.
Yeah, that would be more likely too. I feel like. I mean, I don't know unless he genuinely is just like is like this much of a pirate, but I feel like somebody has to be paying him at this point, or like working.
That's
with
kind of what
somebody.
I think he probably is working for someone, and it would be crazy if it was revealed in the finale that he was actually working for Thrawn the whole time, like
Exactly.
or Pelion or something. That'd be really cool. Or Card.
I mean,
Even
if you
better.
card, I mean, I'm not gonna complain.
I mean, the rumor is that there is only one cameo in this show, and we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so it has to be in this episode.
It's going to
So,
be in the
yeah.
finale. Someone is going to show up that we recognize. That's all
Swear
we
to
know.
God, if it's Carson, if it's Carson, I'm gonna be a little.
If that's
upset.
the one, I'm gonna be like, come on.
Like now that we haven't had any other ones, like this is the only one. Benson says we learned about who he is, not who he was. That's true.
Very true.
Star Wars nerd, what's up? Episode 8 better open with youngling. Nope. I mean, I doubt. I mean, someone's gonna.
Oh, I think
probably
we're getting
like someone's gonna get it. I don't know if it's gonna be any of the kids though.
my theory. My crazy theory is that he is the youngling in Revenge of the Sith when Anakin lights the saber.
That would be hilarious.
Wouldn't that be so funny? That's a Skywalker. There's too many of them.
You
That's
survived.
He survived somehow. Hey, I mean, if Reva can survive getting stabbed like 9 times, then why can't he survive it once?
That's fair. Order 66 in finale, maybe? I hope so, but at the same time, I kind of want to stop getting Order 66 flashbacks. I feel like it's becoming like a common trope almost. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if we're going to revisit that night, it should be meaningful each time, not just like, oh, this character survived, let's have me an Order 66 survivor. I don't know.
I tend to agree. I don't want him to be an Order 66 survivor. I kind of want there's rumors of his mom being a Jedi.
Yeah.
And obviously Jedi do not have kids typically because they can't form attachments. So I'd like it if she went rogue on the Jedi, had a kid, and that's why he's been on the run kind of thing.
Yes, sir. Jedi Nina Nanawood.
Nina Nanawood is who allegedly is in the show. We haven't seen her.
So we're going to find out.
Oh, yeah.
Rossi says, I cannot wait to see who the Overseer is.
A droid.
Do you really think it's a droid?
I 100% think it's a droid.
I mean, I makes sense. And that honestly, that voice message sounded a little pre-recorded. To be honest, like it seemed a little automated. Like,
yeah, it's also just like the whole like Jod going down to the vaults was like, I don't want to talk to a droid anymore. Like, I want to talk to the Overseer. Like that. Okay, the Overseer is a droid. I think that's what's gonna happen. That's just my opinion.
I mean,
it could be. I could be
like,
wrong.
I could definitely see it being that way. I also feel like too, like, I don't know. We didn't hear Neil's dad talk at all in that message. Do you think it still could be Neil's dad?
The Overseer?
Yeah, like Neil's dad being like it's like in a weird way, it's almost like it's like a secret position. You don't like you're elected from a certain small group. You're elected and you can't tell anybody. Like you're just to them, you're just another analyst or something. It's like a random community member that's selected every couple of years.
Maybe that's possible. Yeah, Neil's dad hasn't really played any part in this at all.
That's kind of what I'm saying. And then, you just have him show up in the holo message, and you have the little card of him. That's, I don't know. I feel like there should be more there at least.
At least we know Neil's brother lost a tooth.
Getting a little updates on that.
This show is so funny sometimes. Oh man.
I feel like they filmed the last 2 shows as movies and chopped them up. I mean, I feel like that's also like that's what they tried to do with Kenobi, but just didn't. Like they tried to do it like that, and it just didn't work.
I agree. Acolyte even should not have at all been chopped up. It would just like break at the most crazy times.
Yeah, it was just
episode.
odd. Like,
yeah,
it didn't feel like the episodes didn't feel like it was almost like She-Hulk. She-Hulk, like the first episode ended up being like episode 6, or like they got swapped. So it was just like it definitely felt out of order at times. I don't think Jod would. How do you hurt the kids though? I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. I don't know if Disney would do it, like if they would fully go for it anymore.
I don't think he's gonna hurt the kids. I don't.
The parents though, that doesn't matter. Droids, that doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks Jod's dead. Like he's toast.
I feel like he has to be. Like it doesn't like
unless he escapes and he's working for someone, and we kind of just get that as like an ending scene, you know.
Star Wars nerd, thank you for the 2 months. Joe don't do nothing about Noad Atten.
I don't know nothing about Noad Atten. I know nothing.
We got another 199 from Nick. What's up, boys? I am ready for the finale. Same here.
Hell yeah, Nick. Yeah, it's like actually nice to be excited for a finale a little bit. Like I haven't been for a show for a while. Like I'm actually kind of like I want to know what's gonna happen. Like I'm intrigued. It's good.
This feels like good. I'm genuinely just like okay, like I want to see where this goes. It's not like last time where I was kind of just like I don't really care where this goes. I'm all kind of just watching it to see what happens at this point. This one I'm like okay, I kind of wonder how this is all gonna wrap up.
I want to see how it ties into like the bigger Mando story because like there's a reason they put it in this timeline.
Yeah, and I want to like that goes back to that connecting figure. Like, do you think it's gonna be Mando? I mean, maybe that secret scene that they shot had something to do with Jod. I don't know if they even want to go with that route, but that's just wishful thinking. Rusty says, "I'm pretty sure the New Republic will get at Atten. It's only 5 years after the Battle of Jakku. The First Order would be in the fledgling state."
Yeah, as someone who actually tried to watch that stupid what's that show called? I actually don't remember the name. It's so bad. Resistance. Oh yeah, there we go. The First Order is in that, and that supposedly takes place like right before Force Awakens. And even then, they have like no, they have no resources, they have no scale to their command of other planets and shit like that. So I don't really see any way in which like they have this gold at this point in the story, unless it's Palpatine or Palpatine's puppets or the Sith, whatever. What do they call themselves on Exegol? Like
I don't. They're more like religious followers. It's like the cult.
I don't know why. Like maybe I'm completely ignorant, but like I'm still like holding out hope that they're just gonna decanonize like the sequels to some degree. Obviously they exist, but like I think they're gonna world between worlds it. I really do. Like we are at this state of Star Wars where like things are not good right now. Skeleton Crew is not hitting Nielsen at all, number one.
Yeah, I was meaning to talk to you about that. I'm also kind of curious too. I feel like they would have to announce the cancellation of Rey's movie first before they like do that.
They don't announce any cancellations though. Taika's never got announced as canceled. It's just canceled. Rogue Squadron never got announced as canceled. Fair. It's just never happening.
I'm kind of just saying like if you're gonna fully retcon the sequel trilogy, the last trilogy that was in the theaters, you're gonna have to announce it like they did with Legends.
That's actually a really good point. I think they're just gonna like sidestep it. I think it's gonna exist. I don't know. I watch Star Trek, and I don't think you don't watch any Star Trek, do you?
Not a whole lot. a little
Okay.
bit here and there.
Well, like in the current shows, there's this show that's been out for a few years called Discovery. It's not very good. People don't like it. Whatever. It's that's beside the point. But they used another show that had its series finale this year. It's an animated show to like kind of say like it's canon, but it's not really part of the main timeline. Whereas when they first brought it out, they were like, it's part of the main timeline. And now they're like, people don't like it, so it's not part of the main timeline.
I feel like that's kind of what happened with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. With Marvel, because it's like no one knows, like, is it canon, is it not canon anymore? It's been like pulled in and out like multiple times.
I think the sequels are going to be similarly treated at some point because there's no possible way we can move on with the current state of things. It's bad. Things are bad.
Sith cultist of Exegol. There you go.
Thank you, Jaina. Are you a dude? I love Jaina Solo, obviously, as a character. One of my favorite characters from the NJO. I'm just curious.
I don't know. I feel like Snoke being Jod, like again, like I feel like they would have to be leaning towards that, like in some way. Like you couldn't just do it in the last episode.
Oh my god! If Snoke is Jod, cancel the whole damn company. That's the dumbest thing. I know you're joking, Eli. I mean, I think you're joking. It's like that old, like, your Snoke theory sucks, like Ryan Johnson's dumb thing that he said. Like, we're just going in circles on that.
So it says, the only thing I want to see from Order 66 is Anakin going ham. I think that's what not anyone, I think that's what everyone wants to see. It's just like,
do Anakin, we all want to see Anakin just like killing kids? Like what?
I mean, I want to see the Nick Gillard fight.
It'd be cool to see him take on multiple Jedi at once, kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. I want to see Anakin like using all different like every single one of the forms he's mastered. I want to see him using each one with a different opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I know it would never get made, but even like a Game of Death type movie, or that movie like show though of like from Order 66, just like seeing it like it would never happen. But I'm just saying like I would love to just see like the progression for it of Anakin like losing or not losing, but struggling more and more and more as the fold keep going.
That'd be kind of cool.
Is celibacy? I can't even speak.
Celibacy.
Yeah, thank you. Is celibacy part of the Jedi Order? Am I misunderstanding things?
It's not.
Yeah, I'll say it's not. And there's been certain times where certain things have been okayed, like with Ki-Adi-Mundi, for like the sake of race.
Like they never tell the Jedi though they have to be celibate. I mean, even as Anakin says in Attack of the Clones, he says like they're encouraged to love, blah blah blah, but they can't form attachments. And I would argue that having a child is an attachment, is it not?
Yeah, and also having a Padawan, that's like your child too. So you're forming an attachment to that Padawan. No matter how many times they say like you're not supposed to form attachments, I don't know, you're still gonna care for that Padawan.
Yeah, they are pretty like much so. You cannot form attachments to your Padawans. So I don't know.
Well, they failed multiple times.
On many counts, they failed. Maybe that whole like have a Padawan thing is flawed. Maybe that's the real issue here.
The first Final Order definitely makes sense. Sorry, makes the most sense to explain how they found Starkiller, and I can not even attempt that. Thank you, but I hope not. So far, the show has been better writing than just it's just been better writing to just patch the sequels.
Yeah. That's my opinion. Like the show has actually been enjoyable and fun compared to some of the shows we've gotten more recently, and I really hope they're not gonna like try to shoehorn some sequel stuff in there because it will taint the show forever. And I'm actually worried about that for the entire Filoni Favreau verse, basically. Like,
that's a fair thing to be afraid of with it too. Like,
well, I think if Favreau, and I trust Favreau more than anyone. I think if Favreau had like, if they didn't have to adhere to whatever happens 20 years from now in story, I mean, we'd be getting like pure gold from him. I think we'd have Luke's Academy on screen, basically.
Oh, 100%. If there wasn't a wall in front of them blocking them, they would be doing it.
That's why
at least John would be doing it, at the very least.
Yeah, that's my thought. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I wonder when Neil will grow his tusks. I honestly, I feel like if it happens, it'll probably be off screen, like a Stranger Things thing, where it's like, oh, a year or two has gone by, and now he's older, and he already just has them. Kind of like with Grogu aging up anyway.
It'd be funny when he gets like little baby
Just little
tusks or
nubs.
something. Yeah, that would be funny.
Neil's dad as the supervisor is a wild theory. I love it.
It would be
Like
kind of funny. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Tooth Fairy's canon. We just gotta get the Rock in there. It'll be fine. Or Vin Diesel. I don't think John will kill anyone. He's drawn a saber to pretend to be a Jedi while subtly threatening them in the way only kids pick up. I mean, yeah, but with him pulling it out, I feel like now is where he's kind of just flipping. Like the facade is done. He has access to the vault. I don't know. I hope that that's the way, but I feel like at this point,
dude, when he like got a hold of those credits, dude, he like went into this like, manic.
That's exactly where I was like, yeah.
I think he's fucking crazy.
That's not kind of what I'm saying. Like when it ended with the saber, the first thing I thought of was Kanan was like hit him out of reveal, like the secret in front of everyone. That's kind of how it felt. Like now the secret's out.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of like, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure.
I swear I remember George saying they couldn't fall in love because that leads to jealousy, but I could be wrong.
That's correct.
I say that sounds, yeah.
That is correct. But fall in love and celibacy are two different things. Well, you know, I mean,
to some.
Right. You know, I mean, like celibacy just means they're not being physical.
Yeah.
I think they can be physical as long as they don't form an attachment. I think that's the issue.
Kind of just
having a kid, I think, forms an attachment in some way, in my opinion.
So I feel like, essentially, I feel like if you want to, you can be friends with benefits, but anything past that is off limits.
And you're done. You're cut off.
You're cut off. Rusty says, I cannot finish Resistance either, as well as Eli. Resistance is so bad, I don't even care that a Sith Temple and Kylo Ron pop up. Wasted my time watching that show.
That's so funny because I think Eli, from what I understand, that happens in season 2. I never made it to season 2. So the first season was so bad that I had to stop. And for me to stop a Star Wars show, it has to be atrocious. I almost did with Acolyte after episode 3. I was about done, but I pushed through for the podcast.
That's pretty much what it was. I was like, I just want to have something to talk about. Like,
yeah, I pushed through. But man, Resistance, I did not push through. I didn't do it.
Rossi says, I just found out that Exegol is a planet completely made out of Kyber. Is that true? I mean, because like the Empires took all, like pretty much, like they've mined pretty much all of the Kyber with the known Kyber anyway in the galaxy during.
Well, okay, I didn't know. I would love to get a fact check on that because I've never heard that, but that would be dumb as hell. No, I mean, what? But it kind of makes sense because they had these Death Star lasers on all like 1,000 ships. And if that's the case, don't they need Kyber crystals to power every single laser?
Yeah, because
look at all the Kyber they were mining in Rogue One. Yeah. That is
okay. How much Kyber is being used on Starkiller Base alone?
Like I don't know if they use Kyber to power Starkiller Base. Do we know that?
I feel like they would have, right? Like,
oh no, they didn't because they used the power of the sun. Remember they pulled in like
yeah,
the sun.
yeah, you're right.
But for the 1,000 Star Destroyers with Death Star lasers, those definitely needed Kyber.
Jaina says, there's absolutely no way the sequels are getting decanonized. They've been building a whole cinematic world around it since The Mandalorian. The prequels got more hate back in the day. They're fine.
I don't think they're going to be fine. I really don't. I mean, the prequels got a lot of hate, but at the end of the day, it still led into 4, 5, and 6 just fine. And there were good characters, aka Anakin and Obi-Wan and Padme. Jar Jar, one of the best characters ever. So I disagree. I know a lot of people think that, and I agree to disagree. Whatever. I'm really curious to hear why you think they're going to be fine. Because here we are. Force Awakens came out 10 years ago almost, and the discourse has never been higher. Whereas 10 years after the prequels came out, people were really starting to like them a lot.
That's fair. I mean, I remember even like in school at the time, like when the hype started coming around for Star Wars and that first trailer dropped, like people were like going back and watching the prequels and talking about it at school all the time. And I remember like even like when I was like a kid, like that really never happened. And the most I heard it was like Clone Wars or like original trilogy. That was about it.
Oh yeah, I mean the hype was big when Force Awakens was coming out, and I think it did kind of open some people up to the prequels that may have ignored him because of the backlash. But I don't know. I think Clone Wars really helped strengthen it, and I don't know if Mando is going to do the same because the fundamental issues with the sequels are that you have 3 different storylines being told over 3 different movies that don't tie well together. Things get ignored from one movie to the next. And the huge major issue is the failure of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Leia Organa. I don't see how you can ever fix that. Well, they're big failures. Like, how do you continue a story like that? I'm okay, Jaina Solo. Very cool. I was just curious because of the name, but if you're a big EU fan, so are we. Very cool.
What's going on, RJ? Welcome.
Oh, RJ.
Rusty says only attachment is forbidden. Yeah, I don't know if sorry, I'm gonna pull it so I just saw it. This Rel Avernosa was banging it out in the Master Apprentice book, and it was kind of a loophole that Qui-Gon didn't approve of. That's yeah.
Did they just like did they use the phrase banging it out in the book? Because I gotta read this book.
Sounds funny that you said that too.
I'm gonna have to check that book out.
You heard banging, I was like, "Yep, that's me."
That sounds hilarious. What? Okay. Hey, I understand why I wouldn't approve though.
And by attachments, George means possessive love.
Right, but the Jedi are not allowed to get married. So is that always possessive love? I mean, I guess in their eyes it is.
I mean, in some people's eyes, the Jedi are evil. It's just it's a perspective thing.
That's very true. Very true.
Wasn't there a Jedi around Qui-Gon's time that had girlfriends that smoked death sticks, or am I making stuff up? That would be Rael Averroes. The one that was banging it up. That's the one.
He was banging it out. As we just found out recently.
New information has come into the fold. Attachment is forbidden, however, such stuff as marriage, having children, etc. are allowed so as long as you aren't attached to them. How do you not be attached? I'm going to take that back. I mean, do we? I don't know. I feel like we need to, we need the NJO. We need the NJO just to clear it all up. Just.
I mean, yeah. Is there like a book of like what is allowed and what's not allowed? Like, I'm very curious now. Can you go back to that? I'm sorry. I need to go back to that. Attachment is forbidden. However, stuff such as marriage, having children, etc. are allowed as long as you aren't attached to them. I don't know of, besides Ki-Adi-Mundi, I don't know of any Jedi being married in the prequel era. Or even Old Republic era. The only time Jedi got married is when Luke formed his own order, but he had a different view on things, obviously, because his love for his father is what kind of saved his father. So I think his views were significantly different.
Well, and also from like the Throne books, that line from Ben, like you're not carrying what was the old, but you're moving into the new.
Yeah, so like you're the first of the new Jedi, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
I just don't remember any instance of maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love to be proven wrong because I'm just like now I'm curious. Besides Ki-Adi-Mundi, who had allegedly some sort of population issue and was granted an exception from the Jedi, and he definitely didn't have attachments because it was strictly to rebuild the population there
Out of necessity, my friend.
via banging it out.
I did enjoy episode. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I did enjoy episode 7. It felt quite fast paced, and Judd not being ejected was a bit. However, Judd is really coming into his own as a frightening villain. Part of me still feels like it could be a facade. Like, I don't know. I can still. Like, I don't. I could see it. Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes.
I'm legitimately hoping that John doesn't come back to be a good guy. I hope he stays bad. I think it serves the story well.
I gotta agree.
Godspeed, brother. I do too.
I gotta agree. I don't think he's gonna be redeemed.
Yep, the Jedi don't care about casual sex, just as attachments as possession, a form of selfishness which leads to the dark side.
That was my understanding.
Attachment leads to jealousy, the shadow of greed. That is. I'm gonna have to write that quote down. That's a good one.
That's Yoda. Obviously,
yeah.
I'm assuming. I don't live.
I
even know why I said that. That's Yoda. Who the hell else talks like that?
Yaddle? I mean,
yeah, right. Did Yaddle say that?
She
doesn't even talk like that. She talks normal, right?
Yeah, it's Bryce Dallas Howard. She talks fine.
She talks normal, and Yoda is like a freak. The Jedi have friends with benefits. Yeah.
Exegol isn't made out of kyber. Palpatine mined a ton of it, then bled it into the Sixtons and stored it on Exegol. And I just saw this real quick too. Starkiller base was Ilum, and that was mined out for Death Star.
Oh yeah. Okay, that happens in the Jedi Survivor or whatever. What is it? Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Game. Yeah. I mean, we learned about that then.
Yeah. Yeah, Starkiller was on Ilum, so definitely used kyber. It presumably was built around. Why was built around Ilum?
Oh, interesting. Okay. So they use the power of the sun and kyber.
Power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Archie says planet-sized lightsaber being prepared by Palpatine if you won. If Exegol is made from kyber, that is. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, you're right though. Like, why and how would they have access to making all of that? Like, there's no, as far as we saw, there was nothing there that could do it. Kyber.
I don't know. When it comes
Moon
to
dust.
like, yeah, when it comes to like, oh, how did they build all this ridiculous shit? Like, it's all crazy. At least like, here's another point to like the prequels. At least they were like showing like the plans of the Death Star were like ingrained like 20 years before it came into fruition, because and that was like a whole ass empire. I mean, Palpatine had control of every system at that point, and that's what he was able to achieve with the Death Star. Yet the First Order, who has essentially nothing and is a completely fledgling like organization out on the outskirts of the galaxy, mined a whole ass planet to build like a Death Star that's 20 times as big. I don't know, man.
It's a little far fetched. That's
everything in the sequel is a little far fetched. It's out of control. In my opinion, guys. In my opinion, number one.
All from a certain point of view.
Yeah, if you love the sequels, I'm sorry you love them.
Or just says the Jedi are pretty weird in their own rules, from what I can tell, or it may just be stuff I'm making up, using loopholes without realizing it.
RJ would have been the one in the Jedi where like, I can get married, right?
Like, wait, so you're saying I can do this? Give me a second.
He'd be trying to find the loopholes.
See you, nerd. Have a good one. You'll have fun.
See you, Star Wars nerd.
Can we change the topic of sex, please? Let's get out of here.
Yeah, we're done. This is a Jedi topic. It has nothing to do with.
I think Legends Yaddle spoke backwards, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I would have to go back to that book where she saved Anakin's life.
I was just about to say, like, I have to go back and look. I thought Yoda got tired of speaking normal. Is that Is that the case? Is that really what? Like, he just decided he's like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna start speaking riddles now.
I've kind of
Like,
heard the theory that, like, yeah, he's just fucking with everyone, like, at the end of the day, which is kind of funny. Like, I mean, if you've been around for 800 years, like, eventually you probably would just start going a little crazy.
it's good. I, I don't know how much of I don't know how much of any of you watch of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the new show or the old animated show from that Dave was a part of. But there was this character named Boomy, from the Earth Kingdom, and he kind of goes like a little insane. That's kind of how that would feel. It's like after all this time, Yoda just kind of went a little insane, just started playing tricks on everyone.
Okay. Well,
So I mean, like I can see it. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I could see it. I mean, kind of funny, honestly.
Exegol was Uncharted, and then the Unknown Regions was also was untouched. Were the Unknown Regions untouched or uncharted?
The unknown regions were uncharted. They were not untouched. Now, Exegol might have been untouched because it was hidden in that cloud or nebula or whatever. But the unknown regions themselves were just uncharted. I mean, obviously the Chiss came from the unknown regions.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I was like,
there's people out there.
That's where Balin and Shin went to from like the synopsis of like their backstory.
Do we know that? I'm actually just curious. Do we know that for sure?
I thought when the news came out about it, I thought we had covered it on Cantina Jargon.
No, like I remember like it being like said somewhere in.
It was like a Disney official, like
it
like
was
official. I believe it was like an official, like in a book, the synopsis, or it was something like that. There was some. It was like not from the show, but from the show that they like put it in there.
Yeah, as far as I know, it was never in the show.
Yeah, they never talked about it in the show.
Yeah. Okay. That was my understanding.
Oh god, no, I don't just love them, Joe. There was something Cantina said that caused me to say that.
Wait, well, I actually forget what that was about.
I have no clue either.
Now I'm curious. What did he say?
Maybe the Friends and Benefits one? I don't know. Rossi says, I read the Aftermath books. Palpatine was sending probe droids into the unknown regions because he could hear Exegol calling him. That was like 25 years before the Battle of Jakku. So, like, right after or right before Order 66 then? Is that what I'm getting from that? Is timeline-wise anyway?
Hold
roughly?
on.
Is that what they're trying to, like...
The Aftermath books... I'm actually really curious. I've never read the Aftermath books. They came out like right when Force Awakens came out. There was a mention of Exegol in those books. Because I thought Exegol was something they made up after Last Jedi.
I'll say this is
I had never heard of it before that. Yeah, I'm really curious. I've never read those books, so I don't know.
Leslie RJ says, from what I remember, Yoda spoke backwards from as a form of respect to his master, who supposedly spoke backwards. This one I do remember hearing about at some point in time. I don't remember where it came from, but I definitely do remember it coming about. It was like, I don't know if it was Legends though or not. I could be wrong. I've got y'all in the background. Well, I can put a certain point of view, and Joe. Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just saying for anyone else out there, not specifically you, but if anyone else out there likes the sequels, I'm sorry that I continuously shit on them.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Not my Luke Skywalker.
It's Jake, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, not my Luke Skywalker.
It was hinted at something was calling Palpatine the unknown regions, which later turned out to be Exegol.
That's really interesting, actually. I did not know that.
They at least had somewhat of a plan. Just
maybe. I mean, maybe they were saying like maybe the writers were thinking Vong or the Grisk or something. We don't know.
They were hitting the bong a little too much. That's what was happening.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sarcastically apologizing. I am in no way serious.
what are your final predictions or early predictions for this finale?
Oof. Okay, this time I'm dead serious. I do think we're gonna get the backstory.
Okay,
Um,
hold you to it.
I do
I
think it's happening this time. Yeah.
honestly, after Ahsoka, I don't think we're gonna get it. Just because like with how Ahsoka didn't show like Balin and Shin's backstory at all, and they introduced those two new Jedi, so to speak.
It's
I feel like
true.
they could just not do it. I thought
Do
we
you
were gonna
think
get it.
we're
Like
not getting any backstory?
I, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. Is all I'm gonna say. I
Wow.
just because I really thought we were gonna get a whole Balin and Shin episode of their backstory of it in itself.
Fair enough. I think we are gonna get the backstory. I'm still gonna say I think we're getting it. I really do.
I hope we get it.
Maybe I'm just hopeful, right? Obviously, but I do. I think we're gonna get it. And that's my one prediction. Number one. Number two is I think we're gonna see someone that we've already seen in the Mandoverse. I don't think the cameo is gonna be a new character. Like, I don't think it's gonna be Card or Hondo or I don't know, someone we haven't seen but we know is around.
Hear me out. Wild theory. It's Cara Dune. That's how they bring Gina back. That's how they bring Gina back. It's just the Marshal of the New Republic. I'm here.
It's Gina Carano. Oh my god. I mean, people will be like, "Wow, they really went there."
I just hope the person from the Mandoverse, whoever it is, isn't a disappointment.
Yeah, I hope it. I mean, I don't. It's interesting because I really like the show. I don't. It would be hard to get disappointed here unless it's like I said, if it's a big first order, like Palpatine's gonna be able to build all of his Death Stars now, I'd be kind of like, really?
If we get Commandant Hux showing up, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be a monitor broken or two. No more Hux.
I'm just gonna turn. Honestly, if that shit happens, I'm just gonna turn it off silently. And just admit that this shit is never going to change, or we're down a path that's never going to change.
Just in a sigh, and then just go back to
working on our project. Yep.
Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, that'd be tough. There was something in it. I don't even know. Oh, here we go. Been saying this for so long. Like,
just do NJO and just update whatever little things you need to do if you're going to make it canon anyway. Like, there are good stories already out there that people want to see on screen.
I mean, there's still, even though I don't agree with what happens with Luke later on in the story, like with Last Jedi and stuff, but like there's still 20 years in there roughly where you can tell stories of Luke doing awesome stuff. Clone Wars style. Do it.
And he doesn't have to be a hermit for 20 years either.
Right. Well, he's technically not in canon. From what we understand, he's only been on the island for like 3 or 5 years.
Oh, is it only?
Yeah.
I don't. I would say I don't know. I never.
Something like that. But yeah, I want the Luke animated show. I've been saying it for years. I don't know why they refuse to do it. They'd rather give us. We're probably gonna get like a Reva show. I do think the next animated show, unfortunately, is going to be like The Path. And I think I do. I think it's going to be Quinlan. I think it's going to be Ventress. I think Reva's going to show up because she obviously knows about the path after Kenobi. I think that's the next anime. I think that's the next Clone Wars style animation show we're getting is The Path. And I can't say I'm excited about it.
If they do, they got to announce Cal Kestis is going to be in it or something just to like.
Oh, yeah.
Like make some sort of excitement also to tie it together because he's also part of the path.
Right. I would imagine he would be. I do believe that. What else would be the reason for bringing Ventress back when she was supposed to be dead?
Yeah, it felt weird. It was just like
right.
I don't know. It could have been anyone else. And I loved her showing up. Like it was cool to see like badass Ventress back, but for what purpose?
Right. You just revived another character yet again another character, and there has to be a reason for it. I think that's what we're getting. I think we're getting like the Path show. I could be obviously completely dead wrong. I don't really care if I am. so be it.
I did personally enjoy the sequels, and I am even a fan of them, but I will admit they weren't perfect, and Luke was completely misportrayed. Agreed. There's things that like I liked about certain there's certain aspects that are great, certain aspects that were fucking horrible. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, when Force Awakens came out, I mean, I was hyped, man. I'm like,
Dude, that trailer,
this is awesome.
seeing the Falcon, dude,
Oh,
that
yeah.
shot of all like the X-wings and everything on the water too, like that. Yeah, that that got me excited.
There was a lot of good. There was a lot of good, and it just, yeah, I blame The Last Jedi more so than Force Awakens, obviously. So,
Crackpot theory has been that Jod is Bane and destroys everything.
oh my god.
I mean, I'd be a little upset that they show like they bring in Bane that way, and they just decided to axe his arc in the clone or not his arc, the cameo in the Clone Wars.
I can't imagine that, but that would be wild.
How could he not have a pirate? Or sorry, how can he not have Hondo in a pirate show? I'll riot. That's kind of what I'm saying. I feel like it's too late for Hondo at this point. I mean, you show us his ship in episode 1, or sorry, episode 2 at the beginning. I don't know. Hondo should have been in already.
I kind of agree. I mean, it's kind of wild that we're getting like a pirate show, and we know Hondo's alive, yet we aren't probably going to see him at all.
Unfortunately. Rossi says Palpatine had an adopted non-force using son called Gallius Rax. He was a lot like Thrawn, but human. He was the best part of the Aftermath books. He was the one executing the final order.
Yeah, I know about that, dude.
Okay, weirdly enough, that actually sounds a little bit interesting, and I kind of want to like look into that more.
From what I understand, like the Aftermath books are pretty good. At least they were well received. I've never read them, but I know people were kind of really excited for Force Awakens after those books. And then things took a huge turn. First Aftermath book came out 2015. Okay.
So they did have a thought then, at least something, because that's the same year as Force Awakens. So.
Yeah, those were the Aftermath books were billed as like they were marketed kind of as like a lead up to the Force Awakens, like, you know what I mean?
The prequel to it, yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of like the prequel to it to fill in some of the last 20 years or whatever.
Reading the new Jedi Order now, and it is amazing so far.
Same.
Love it.
Same. I'm on like book 11 out of 19, and it is fantastic.
Why is that Lucasfilm don't give us fans what they want to see? Because mind tricks don't work on them, only money.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I don't know.
Gazer's Bunny has a theory that they're trying to make these new characters more successful so they don't have to pay royalties to George or the actors or something. I mean, if only that was the case. But that would have came out way sooner, I feel like, if it was the case. And also, like, those characters are the tipping point of Star Wars. That is Star Wars. You can't just build off new characters and just tell the old ones to fuck off.
I mean, let me ask you this. Is Zahn getting like royalties for Thrawn showing up? I doubt it. Especially because
doubt it.
Lucasfilm owns everything. So they when Lucasfilm bought, or I'm sorry, when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they own everything. They own the books. They own, because they've republished the Legends books. They own the publishing for that. There's,
I mean,
you see these
the Legends Funkos.
That's what I'm talking about. You see, like the action figures back there, like they have the rights to do that. They can do whatever.
They just did the Heir of the Empire ones through Hasbro.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Zahn is getting a kickback because they published a Last Command version of like action figures. Like, I don't think that's happening. So
like the Pez.
Right. Like I mean, I very much doubt that, because they're still like publishing that stuff. They're still making action figures of these characters. Like, and there's some of them are showing up in the shows. I mean, we have Thrawn, right? So I don't really think that's the case. And if it is, like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Just pay them. If you have to pay them, and make sure that people actually get what they want to see. Like, that would be crazy.
Okay, it's kind of just like how, like, okay, if they were to reboot the Indiana Jones franchise and not have Indiana Jones or Harrison Ford in it at all, no one would watch it.
Right, no one would be the
care.
Point.
It's the same thing. It's just like, if you take the quintessential characters that make the property what it is, and you don't do anything with them, it fails. or at least it should anyway.
Yeah.
I think there is potential for the hidden path. I think it could be a gateway to introduce some of the legends, Order 66 survivors such as Shelvey, Lagoran, Ikira, and Zonder, etc.
I mean, yeah, we already got like Corin Horn as a child, you know, that I mean, I think that would be a cool aspect of it, that we could get some of these legends Jedi. But overall, I'm just like, let's like move past this. I don't know. I guess I'm just like, okay, I'm a little Clone Wars out, and it just seems
Yeah.
like that would be a continuation of Clone Wars. Like Bad Batch was obviously a continuation of Clone Wars, and this would be just a continuation of Bad Batch. Like, can we jump a little far ahead? Can we get past like Return of the Jedi, maybe? Or even take us like 1,000 years in the future. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I hope Mangled's movies again with them deciding to not follow lore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which, I mean, all I gotta say is the Jedi Order and everything with the Jedi. There's great stuff already there. They should still use that, but
if the story group knows what's best for everything, they will. They'll make sure they use some of that. But I don't know, man.
well, I mean, if they don't, then I'm gonna say what the fuck was the point of Pablo Hidalgo including the Rakatan Empire line in Andor? If they're gonna just axe that all, because Rakatans also were around during that time.
Yeah.
So if you don't mention it in one show and then just axe it in another, that's kind of what I'm saying, or movie, I should say.
Right.
The downfall of the sequels was no planning between the movies and different directors.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Always forget Bane was in Clone Wars. Same thing with the Vong. The Vong were in Clone Wars too, just deleted.
Season 6. Yeah, Vaughn didn't make it.
Yeah.
At some point they didn't make it, but yeah.
Above all else for the show, I think the characterization and acting of the children is, in my opinion, what I want to see more of in the media. I think all of the acting in the show has been great. There's been nothing about the show where I'm like, this takes me out of it. This is bad.
It's been an enjoyable great show. Actors, man. I'm like, holy shit, these kids are great.
It makes me think of like season 3 of Stranger Things. To me, that's my favorite season of Stranger Things. With the whole mall and the Russians underneath.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I loved it.
It's on par for that with me when it comes to like the acting within the show and the writing.
Yeah, it's like kind of like what's there not to like about it? I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, you know, it's not. The other nice thing is like it's not offensive to the lore in any capacity. So like if you enjoy like the Star Wars universe, it's a great show to just like turn on and enjoy, and you don't really have to worry about it fucking up like a different part of the story that's actually important. Like this isn't Kenobi where we're like, why did he walk away from Vader when he had the chance to kill him? And why is he just going to tell Luke a few years later, like, hey, you need to kill your father?
And why also
I could have done it, but fuck it.
Like
you do it.
Like why would Vader just burn Kenobi over the fire a little bit, like and just like toy with him?
Yeah,
and he wouldn't have been afraid of the fire either.
Right, and we can sit there all day long and talk about like that kind of thing, but like with Skeleton Crew, that's not an issue. Like it's just like, all right, cool. What's Jod gonna do next? like
there's nothing that can hold down Jod. Like Jod was only in the brig for as long as he was because he didn't have a way out. Yes, he could have just used the Force, but he didn't have a way to get off world.
That's right.
Jod's never been in a situation where he can't get himself out of.
Yeah, and I love seeing now that you mentioned that in the recent episode 7, he's like shackled up, and as soon as Brutus is in a compromising position, he's like, all right, fuck this.
He's like, all right.
Kills him. That's pretty cool.
I love the Jod because I was just like, oh, he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's just like everyone's gonna know. This is also true. Revan was also supposed to be in the Clone Wars.
They even did there's some like previs animation you can see of that one.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we don't have the Vong one, but
Hondo is Tak Renaud. It would make sense, but for how much Hondo got busted all the time in Rebels, I feel like it would only hinder his character and make Tak Renaud's legend like meaningless, or not meaningless, but less meaningful. Just because Hondo gets captured and caught all the time. He's like Jack Sparrow. He wins every once in a while, but 90% of the time he's just
he's
a bumbling fool.
Jack Sparrow, basically.
Aftermath was just okay. They aren't as good as the EU or the best EU books. No royalties is effed. I hate businesses.
Yeah, businesses are shady, man.
Rossi says everyone should read Zahn's 14 EU books. To me, Zahn is the best of the EU. I'd say for me, Zahn and James Oseno.
Yeah, Zahn. I like Zahn a lot. I like Stackpole. Yeah, Zahn is the best. I can't agree more, honestly.
Claudia Gray too, another good one.
Yeah, she did some canon stuff.
I think more just like with Bloodline.
Pretty good. I mean, Bloodline's canon, but yeah.
Oh, it is canon?
Okay. Oh, yeah, Bloodline's canon. But, I mean, it's probably one of the best canon books, I would say.
That's fair.
Yeah. 6 canon Zahn books.
I haven't read I haven't read fully, but I've listened to videos and like watched videos. I'm going through it fully of Zahn's Canon Thrawn trilogy.
So he has two Thrawn trilogies in canon. There now, the one that's like a way prequel, like before he gets to the main galaxy. I have not read that one, but I did do the other one, and it's good. I like it, but I'm just like kind of like the whole time. I like his his EU Thrawn better. I think it's just more like a little bit more villainous, which I kind of like.
I was just about to say more tactical.
Yeah.
Zahn makes royalties. I found an article from 2020 where they tried to stop paying royalties for Star Wars and the Alien books, but I guess that didn't work.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. So, hold on one second.
It's either going to be a puppy or a cat. Which one do you want to buy? And neither.
All right. If I go to the store and buy this, right? So this is the Essential Legends collection. This is written by Timothy Zahn. It's got a Disney logo on the back, right? Disney published this. Zahn obviously would make a royalty off a book he wrote. That makes sense to me.
Same
that adds up
with Last Command.
100%, right? Like, okay, sure, I bought the Disney copy. They own it. Yes, they own it. They definitely make money off of this, but Zahn is definitely getting a royalty off a book he wrote. But at the same time, is he going to get a royalty for a character being put on screen or an action figure? I think not, personally.
I think the characters are all owned by Disney, but if the author is getting royalties, it's for just the book sales of it in itself.
His art, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, he wrote a description for the characters, but he didn't put the characters on screen. He didn't put the characters on paper.
Lucasfilm would still own the rights to those characters. It's like the X-Men. Like, for example, you could be a third party like contractor and like use the rights for the X-Men, write the stories for them, but you don't like for example, the Fatal Attraction story. The writer of that story doesn't own the X-Men, but he definitely gets royalties for the sales on those comic books.
Right. And that's the way I see it, right? So just because, they allowed Zahn to write in the Star Wars universe, just because he added some new characters doesn't mean that he owns those characters. No, Lucasfilm owns those characters. I don't know because none of us have the contracts in front of us. But like,
let me see the contract.
Thrawn shows up, he's going to be the big bad of a movie and he's in a show and he's probably going to be in more shows. Do we really think Zahn's getting paid every time Thrawn just shows his face? I very much doubt that.
Honestly, Lars probably gets more residuals and more like a pay for Thrawn showing up on screen than Zahn. For
probably
like, Rebels being shown on like Disney XD and stuff. Lars probably gets more of a check from Thrawn each year than probably Zahn.
That's probably true.
Like just to be fair and to be honest, which is a sad reality.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy because he created one of those, beloved villains in all of Star Wars, and Disney's going to milk that villain now for sure. Why wouldn't they? It's the best villain that they haven't touched yet, really, besides Rebels. So, I mean,
I was going to say Plagueis, but they kind of already touched that. So,
oh, jeez,
I don't even start.
Yeah, let's not even go there. They did touch Plagueis, which they hadn't. wish they hadn't.
Probably for the best. The Vong didn't make it. It would conflict a lot of the lore, and it has been stated that George would have made it so that they wouldn't have been immune to the Force. Which it makes sense for why it didn't happen. I'm just glad that they even thought about it and even like they didn't just throw it off to the side.
Yeah, there's
They tried.
It's really interesting because the idea for the Vong really came from George for the most part. The book sales were doing like really poorly around that time. This is after the highs of like Heir to the Empire and the Luke and Mara wedding and all that stuff. Then the book sales were kind of doing poorly. They needed something to revitalize it, and they came up with this idea like, let's tell a multi-book story that like can be told over several stories or several books. It'll be a big overarching story with a major villain and all that stuff. And they didn't really know where to take it. And George wanted it to be an extra galactic threat. And boom, the Vong were born. Which is insane that he kind of was the brainchild.
And it also, like, in a weird way, it feels like George. Like, that feels like okay, like that's definitely like a George answer.
Yeah. He would do weird stuff like that, and it worked out. It was cool.
Why doesn't Luke have a wife? Wait till you see the next one. It's just like one of those things.
That's
so
like, funny. It's like, okay.
The Vong were indirectly mentioned in KOTOR by Candaris, and that is a bit conflicting considering who the Vong are.
Interesting.
I did not know that.
You gotta read KOTOR more when I'm on playing the game. I gotta like read the little subtitles more.
One of the Russians in Stranger Things season 3 was my MMA coach. That is hilarious.
Very cool. Cool, my guy.
If any asks me, Disney hasn't been listening to the fans, which is a big problem. Sometimes, though, I also feel like listening to the fans too much can be a problem too. There's been times where it's come back a little bit, where it's like, that probably wasn't the best choice to make. The Walking Dead, definitely. Yeah. Star Wars Nerd says, there's nothing I can find about Rebels or Ahsoka paying royalties for Thrawn. I mean, I don't even think we'd know if they did, to be honest with you.
We wouldn't know. No, we had to have no idea.
The Grisks are setting up of the Vong, in canon. Yeah, that was kind of my impression, was that the Grisk pretty much is the canon version of the Vong.
Yeah, it's like the Vong replacement.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, the actor definitely gets more residuals. Oh, yeah, 100%. If I was writing the canon, I would have Thrawn return to the galaxy, the Swerve, and have the Grisk attack. Then the New Republic and the Imperial Remnant would work together to beat them, led by Thrawn. That'd
be kind of cool.
Would work.
Yeah.
And, like, once again, this is a time where the fans sometimes make better things or better ideas for a trilogy than the studio. Thrawn would die at the end, saving the galaxy, and in the New Republic and the Imperial Remnant would be weakened so much they'd have the path for the First Order.
That's not horrible, honestly. I kind of like it. It would be obviously very different from what we got in like the EU, but that's okay. Because I'd rather them do something brand new than do a rehash of the EU, but it's not quite the EU because we don't have all the same characters like Mara and Talon and all them. So, yeah.
I think you told me who the Vong were before, and they were the Purgle-looking things, right?
No,
they had like weird-looking ships that kind of looked like whales. Like in the drawings for Clone Wars, anyway, the ships looked kind of like Purgle in a weird way.
They were because they used living ships. That was the big thing.
Kind of like Ego's ship in Guardians too.
Yeah, living ships. The Vong themselves are they're very humanoid, but they modify their bodies a lot. It's kind of like tattoos and like cut parts of their body off is like kind of a ritual. So
weirdly,
very
it kind of reminds me of, I think it's Alien Resurrections, the 2012 movie.
Yeah,
the one guy outside the base or outside the thing. It kind of reminds, like, to me, that's kind of what it's like. It's like they were overtaken by something in a weird way, like a virus. Yeah. I don't know. Episode 9 should have had Luke being sent back by the Force to personally defeat the Emperor. That would have been the only way to save the Last Jedi. Yeah, I don't know how you can overdose on the Force. That's I know how you can become one with the Force, but
That would have been cool if they had Luke actually come back, like from the one
And
time
not be
would
a
have been
projection.
okay. Yeah, one time would have been okay with him being like someone revived, but they just keep doing it anyway with other characters.
Yeah, I just looked it up. LOL. As soon as I looked it up, I seen the humanoid ships, and I knew it was their ships. Yeah. Once you see it, you can't like unsee it.
Yeah, the ships do kind of look like Purgle. I definitely know what you're saying.
The First Order could have probably been improved by having High Inquisitor Tremaine leading his own version of the Imperial Remnant. Even his Star Destroyer appears in The Force Awakens. It does. I was not aware of that. Is it on Jakku? Is it the one that like raised in? I don't know. The Vong only use organic material for their technology. There's a galaxy that was destroyed by AI. So they hate all droids and machinery. You're heretic. They use a non-organic technology. Interesting.
Very interesting.
But with all that being said, we're looking about at we're just over 1 hour mark. Joe,
Yeah.
how are you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to call it, man. We'll be back at it next week to discuss this finale. We could even maybe do an intro week thing.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Actually, because I have a lot of plans next weekend. Some family in town, so maybe we should do an intro week stream and discuss finale and how it went and what it's like. If we're happy.
Yeah, if you're free the day after on Wednesday, the day after the episode comes out, we can.
Let's do it.
Yeah, anytime. Honestly, just all right. Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. It is the Crash Star Destroyer on Jakku. It is called the Interrogator.
I did not know that.
That's cool.
Very cool.
And it definitely makes it feel or have a little bit more of a deeper meaning behind Rey being in it. For me, anyway.
Not for me.
It's just like a cool little factoid about it, I guess.
Don't care. No, I sure. That's cool. That's an interesting fact. Actually, I didn't know any of that shit. So that's interesting. Man. But yeah, all right. I'm cool. Let's call it, man. Great stream. Thanks everyone for joining and all your questions and great discussion. Love talking about all this stuff all the time, and I'm really hoping we have a good banger episode. I hear the rumor is it's over 50 minutes long.
Well, that'll be the longest Celtic episode we've gotten.
Yes.
Which is just so weird to say. Like
I know.
I feel like these all should have been 1 hour long episodes. Like they're good enough to where they could have been.
I mean, they're pretty packed. You know what I mean? Like with stuff. So yeah, they could all be. They all feel kind of long, but not like feel long. But they feel like wow, that a lot just happened.
They wrap up nicely.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Good night, RJ. On that note, may the Force be with you all. We will see you in the next one on Wednesday, probably around 8 p.m. Once again. With all being said, we'll see you in the next one. Deuces, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. See you later. May the Force be with you, as always.